What is your kind of hypothesis of why fertility is at an all-time low?
It's so interesting to think about that question because, I mean, when I look at fertility, it seems to me like fertility is just one issue of all of the issues that we're experiencing as a society. We're looking at chronic disease increasing, mental health issues, hormonal issues. And to me, fertility is just one symptom of all of the things that we're seeing. And when you think about what has changed in the last 50 years, because really things have started to change in fertility in 50 years, and we can go into a little bit more of that. It's like 50 years ago, we weren't living these crazy, stressful lives. We were eating, I would say, clean foods. We were moving more. We were spending time outdoors. And so human beings have been made to reproduce. And what's happening is that our system is just having a hard time keeping up with everything that's going on in our environments today. And so all of that to say is that's great news, because what you could do is, if we modify our environment and our diet and our lifestyle, you can, kind of optimize your fertility. And so when we talk about the fertility crisis and what we've been seeing in the last 50 years, it could be doom and gloom. Like, if you think about, sperm counts have been declining 1% per year in the last 50 years. And actually in the last 20 years or so, they've been declining at a rate of 2.6 per year. And that, if you think about the stats, and Dr. Shauna Swan looks at plastics in our environment and correlates it with the decline in sperm counts, that could be very stressful when you think about, in 2045, there will be no sperm left. Or, some people are saying that in a few years, IVF or ART will be the only way that we can conceive. And of course, ART is a $20 billion business. So right now, that is the first resort. But our goal with WeNatal is to support anybody who's trying to conceive, and for IVF to be that last resort, not the first resort. And so
ART is
assisted reproductive technology, whether it's IVF or IUI. And of course, there will be those who need it. But by supporting your system, by supporting your environment, you can really change the game of, and the trajectory of your growing family.
What is we'll get off sperm in a second, but what are some of the things that you and your husband did, or what can men do to reverse those statistics and boost their sperm count and motility and all of that?
Yeah. So I always say that sperm is like the superhero of fertility. And it's something that we don't really think about that much, because sperm is regenerating every second of the day. Men are regenerating 1,500 sperm every single second. Ooh. And so what that means, they are so lucky, because we're not regenerating eggs, but they are. And so what that means is, if a man takes 3 months to do a few things, and we could talk about what that is, they can really completely transform their sperm and have a completely new batch of sperm that's very different. So even if somebody had done a sperm analysis and they have like very bad results or whatever it may be, in 3 months, your sperm is going to be a completely new batch of sperm. So the sperm that I conceived with Emma was essentially made 3 months before we conceived. So that's how people need to think about it. And that's why trimester 0 and investing in that 3-month time frame is critical. But what they could do. So sperm is very sensitive to oxidative stress. And what oxidative stress is kind of like when you cut an apple and it's kind of exposed to oxygen and it gets, brown. That's what oxidative stress is. But what you do with that apple is, if you put lemon on top of it, it's not going to turn brown. So if you put in antioxidants like CoQ10, vitamin C, NAC, all of those things can reverse or slow down the effect of oxidative stress. So that's one thing. Another thing is hormone replacement therapy. A lot of men don't know that if they take hormone replacement therapy like testosterone, their sperm counts will go to zero, essentially. So if anybody, and we've had people in our community that have been very vocal about it, like Colton Underwood, who was an athlete and was on TRT, had essentially sperm counts of zero. And this is a man that's like a good-looking, strong, buff man. And so that's something to know. And then it's like movement. And, a new study came out in Stanford actually last week. Men who spend more time outdoors had higher testosterone. And when we look at the decline in sperm, we also see that in dogs, we're seeing the same decline. And so we have to think about our home environment, because if we're seeing it in dogs, it's happening in our home environment. So the foods that we're eating, movement, the toxins in our environment, and everything that we talk about in order to support women's fertility, men's fertility, it will impact men's fertility. And really, like, fertility is health. So anything that you're doing to improve your health will improve your fertility, and vice versa. If you're focusing on your fertility, you will also feel more mental clarity, more focus, more energy. Everything is intertwined.